Alright, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to see how you can actually include custom CSS and JavaScript files in your own code. And so for that, we'll basically first have to see the concept of partials, right? So that's what we're going to see in this video. And here I have my test.ejs open with my app.js, right? And this is running on the server. And now if I go here, I see this is working fine, right? And this is my test.ejs. And the one thing. Here we have like written h1 and paragraph and all of the content that we want. So there are some problems in this. First of all, this is not the proper HTML syntax, right? Of course. And considering that I'm always talking about using the best practices, it is quite obvious that not writing the proper HTML syntax would never be a best practice, right? You always have to have the good amount of syntax that we studied. Then why haven't we written that here? First thing. Second, if we are not writing that here, then how are we actually going to include our style sheets? Because we do need our head tag to include our style sheets, right? Yeah, so that's what partials will help us do, right? Partials is the concept that will help us do this. So now, let's imagine you want to make the whole HTML syntax. One thing you could do is, you could make the whole syntax in here and you could make that work. That would work excellent, fine, great. But the problem with that is the only biggest problem with that is that let's imagine you have like 30 pages on your website, 30 views on your website, right? 30 ES files, and all of them are linked to, all of them like have the same title, let's say, right? So then in a future point of time, like due to some reasons, you want to change that title. Then will you like go into those 30 files and change the title? That is what we would do without the partials. But the partials actually make it much easier for us to implement the code because we are only writing the code at one place, and at all the other places we can kind of include that, right? So this might be a little confusing at the moment, but this will become clear by the end of the video. And I'll clear the console. Great. So yeah, so now I'll just make the partials and I'll include them directly, and then you'll get a much better idea of what I'm talking about here. So first, we're making partials. So if I do ls views, I can see everything inside of views, which is currently test.ejs. So inside views, I'll make a new folder called partials. And inside the partials, I'll make a file known as header.ejs. And similarly, I'll make a file called footer.ejs. And now I can open all of these. Right. So in the header, now what we are going to do is we are going to place the header above this and we are going to place the footer below this. So if you try to think of the structure that this should have, I'll inspect this to give you a better idea. Right. So we should have the body tag, like up until this tag we should have in the header, and then this and this we should have in the footer. So we're going to do exactly that, right? In the header, what we're going to do is we're going to do HTML, and I'll leave this for now. Then I'll do head, inside which I'll do title, which I'll give intermediate express, and then I can make a body which will be nothing, right? Because the body is what we're going to put in here, right? Alright, so but this amount of portion should be in the header and this portion should be in the footer. So what I'll do is I'll remove this from here. Now this seems like a really weird syntax for an HTML document or an EJS document because we are writing HTML, that's why I'm saying HTML document. But the thing is that this will never be rendered in the browser as a standalone document, right? We are never going to render header.tjs as a standalone. What we are going to do is we're going to include it here, meaning this code will get substituted here. And if we also substitute the appropriate code below, then this would make perfect sense, right? Okay, so I'll also, in here, I'll also open up footer.tjs. And in the footer.tjs, what I'll do is I'll give a closing body tag. And this will give you like a weird color coding because this is expecting an opening tag with a closing tag because it does not know that this page will never be rendered, right? And now if we see, then header and footer combined give us a complete structure, and if we include the header up here and footer down here, then this file, test.tjs file, will have excellent structure, right? And just to test the footer, because to see if it actually gets connected, I'll put a paragraph saying this is the footer, right? So yeah, so this is my footer, this is my header. But alright, so now my footer and header are actually created, but the thing is that they are in no way currently linked to this test.tjs. It's not by default that they'll get linked, right? You'll have to do something. So to do that something, first of all, we are including things. Of course, that's not HTML, that's JavaScript. So I'll put the EJS tags. Second, I'll do the syntax, which is include, and then in quotes, you give the path to the partial that you want to include, right? So dot means the current directory, which is the views. So dot is referring to views. Then we're going to partials inside of views, and then inside that we are going to header.tjs. So by writing this line, we are including the header.tjs from our partials in our this, and this code will get substituted in the place of this line, right? And similarly, I can do something for the footer. So I'll do EJS brackets include dot slash partial slash footer.tjs. Excellent. So now I have my header and footer included, and this should ideally work because I should be getting the correct structure. But there still will be a problem, and this will not work. I'm telling you that beforehand. And I again forgot to restart the server. This happens so many times. And now if I refresh this page, it still doesn't have the title and it still doesn't have the paragraph that we put in the footer, right? Means our header and footer haven't been included. Plus we can also inspect and we can see there's no head to the body. There's nothing to like expand the head and see because head contains nothing. Means that they have not been included correctly. So what's the problem? Like this is the correct syntax and we have put them inside EJS tags. Well, the problem is that when we are writing this line, we are telling EJS to render this and put it here, right? So we're basically rendering something. And whenever you are rendering something, you need to put this dash here, right? So this is the use of the third type of EJS tags. And this is one of the most prominent places that you use it, honestly. But whenever you're like doing something where this has to be substituted by HTML code, right? This line has to be substituted by HTML code, then you do need to put this dash, right? And I'll also put the dash down here. And I'll do dash. Excellent. So now if I go here and I refresh, I see my title changes to Intermediate Express. I get the paragraph saying this is the footer, and I get my head tag, right? So now this is a perfect HTML structure, and this is exactly what we wanted it to be. Now, what's the use of this? It does seem a little overwhelming right now because we are like making two new files and including them. You must be thinking we can simply include this here. But let's go back to the example that I was talking about in the beginning, right? So, like if I wanted to use this same thing in 200 different files, I could just write this one line. And in the future, if I wish to change some title, I can just go to the header.tjs, I can change the title, and the change will be reflected in all of these, right? So that's basically what the header and footer will be used for mostly, and it will be like segmenting the code into different portions. Excellent. So yeah, so this was about the partials, and the video is getting a bit long, so we'll like discuss about the including things in a separate video, which will be the next one. So that will be great. And yeah, yeah. So okay, so that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.